It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, the kind of place where truck drivers stopped for cheap coffee and bikers filled their tanks before riding back onto the empty highway. Jake Reaper Morrison was fueling up his Harley when he suddenly heard a scream. It was sharp and full of fear, coming straight from the convenience store. Jake didn't hesitate. His instincts kicked in right away. After 20 years riding with the Devil's Brotherhood MC, he knew the difference between fake drama and real danger. This scream was real. Someone was in trouble. He started moving toward the store, his leather vest heavy on his shoulders, covered in patches. That marked him as part of one of the most feared motorcycle clubs in the country. People usually stepped away when they saw him coming. But before Jake could reach the door, it burst open. A little girl ran out at full speed, crying, her blonde pigtails flying behind her. She couldn't have been older than 6. Her face was red, soaked with tears, and she kept looking over her shoulder in panic. She ran straight toward Jake and grabbed his hand with both of hers. "Please," she gasped. "Please act like you're my dad." Jake froze. In his entire life, no one had ever looked at him like that. No one had ever asked him to protect them. He was the man people avoided. The man cops watched closely. The man parents pulled their kids away from. But this little girl clung to him like he was her last chance. Then Jake saw him. A man in his 30s walked out of the store and scanned the parking lot. He wore jeans and a polo shirt. Nothing about him stood out at first. He looked normal. Ordinary. Except for his eyes. They were cold. Calculating, searching. The girl quickly moved behind Jake's legs, shaking. "He's not my dad," she whispered. "He took me from the park. Please don't let him take me." Jake didn't need to hear anything else. He stepped forward and placed himself between the girl and the man. His large body formed a wall of leather and muscle. The man's eyes locked onto them, and for a moment, he seemed to think about his next move. Then he smiled. It was a fake smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Emily, sweetheart," the man said calmly. "You scared me. Come here." The girl's grip tightened around Jake's hand. Jake's voice dropped low and dangerous. "She doesn't want to go with you. I'm her uncle. She's upset because I wouldn't buy her candy. You know how kids are." The man kept smiling. But Jake had spent 2 decades reading people in situations where getting it wrong could get you killed. This man was lying. Everything about him screamed predator. "Emily," Jake asked, still staring at the man, "is this your uncle?" "No," she whispered. "I've never seen him before today." The man's smile vanished. His face hardened. "Listen, buddy, this doesn't concern you. Emily, come here." Now, Jake pulled out his phone with his free hand. "Then you won't mind if I call the police and let them handle it." That's when the man snapped. His hand moved toward his jacket pocket. Jake reacted instantly. Years of fights and survival took over. He stepped forward, grabbed the man's wrist, and twisted hard. The man cried out in pain, and something fell from his pocket. Not a weapon. A phone. For just 1 second before the screen locked, Jake saw a message that made his blood turn cold. Got another one. Blonde. 6 years old. Meeting at usual spot in 2 hours. Jake saw red. In the outlaw world, there were lines you never crossed. Rules even criminals followed. And hurting kids was the one thing that united every motorcycle club in the country. Stay with me until the end. Because what happens after Jake makes one phone call turns this gas station into the start of a rescue mission that exposes a dark network no one knew existed. Before we continue, don't forget to like the video, hit subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Now, let's continue. Jake kept hold of the man's wrist while dialing with his other hand. Not the police. Not yet. He called someone who could move faster. "Bulldog, it's Reaper. I need the crew at the Chevron on Highway 47. Now. What's going on? Child trafficking. And I need it handled before this trash makes a call." The man struggled. Jake tightened his grip until bones pressed together. "You move again," Jake warned. "I break it." "Understand?" The girl cried quietly behind him. Jake softened his voice. "Hey, sweetheart. What's your real name?" "Lily," she whispered. "Lily Chen." "Okay, Lily, I'm Jake, and I promise you, this man will never hurt you or anyone else again." 5 minutes later, the sound of engines filled the air. 7 Harleys rolled into the gas station. The riders looked terrifying: leather vests, scars, hard faces, men who made normal people nervous just by standing near them. But Lily didn't seem scared, maybe because Jake was still holding her hand, and maybe because even a 6-year-old could tell the difference between men who looked dangerous and men who actually were. Bulldog climbed off his bike first. Big, gray-bearded arms like tree trunks. One look at the situation, and his face turned dark. "This what I think it is?" "Check his phone," Jake said. tossing it to him. Bulldog scrolled for half a minute, then passed it to Ghost, the club's tech guy. How many? Bulldog asked. At least 12 kids in the last 6 months, Ghost said quietly. He's part of a network. There are handlers, buyers, and a meeting spot. The man tried to speak. You don't understand. Jake slammed him against the truck. You're right. I don't understand how someone like you exists, but I'm going to make sure it ends. Jake, Bulldog warned. We do this right. We get all of them. Jake nodded. Bulldog was right. This wasn't about revenge. This was about stopping it for good. Ghost, Jake said. Find the meeting. Already did. Abandoned warehouse. South side, 2 hours from now. Jake crouched down in front of Lily. I need to ask you something important. Can you be brave for me? She nodded. Did he hurt you? No. He said my mommy was in an accident, then he locked the car. I ran when he stopped for gas. Smart kid. Brave kid. She saved herself. Do you know your mom's number? She said it perfectly. Jake called. A woman answered instantly, crying. Mrs. Chen, Jake said. This is Jake Morrison. I have Lily. She's safe. The woman broke down in tears. Jake gave her instructions, then hung up. 40 minutes later, Detective Sarah Martinez arrived with state police. She'd worked gang cases for years and knew the Brotherhood well. Reaper, she said, child trafficking. Jake handed her the phone. Everything's there. She read silently, her face growing darker. This is enough for multiple arrests, she said. How did you stop him? She asked me to act like her dad, Jake replied. Kids have good instincts. Lily's mother arrived soon after and held her daughter tightly. Before leaving, Lily looked back at Jake. Thank you, she said. You saved me. Something broke open in Jake's chest. You saved yourself, he told her. I just helped. As police prepared for the raid, Jake spoke up. I want in. Martinez hesitated, then finally nodded. This never officially happened. 2 hours later, Jake and the Brotherhood rolled up to the warehouse. Inside were 12 children, and Jake knew there was no turning back. Jake looked at his brothers. He could tell without a word that they were all thinking the same thing. They had done terrible things in their lives. Sold drugs, moved guns, fought bloody battles in the streets. But this was evil in its purest form. I've got a better idea, Jake said calmly. The man smiled. Oh yeah. What's that? You all get on the ground right now, Jake said, his voice steady. Or my brothers, and I make sure you never get back up. The smile vanished instantly. You a cop? The man asked. Jake shook his head. Worse. I'm someone who actually gives a damn. That's when everything exploded into motion. Detective Martinez and 15 state police officers stormed the warehouse at the same time, crashing through every entrance. State police. Everyone on the ground. The traffickers panicked. Some tried to run. 2 pulled weapons. But between Jake's crew and the police, it was over fast. In less than 30 seconds, the building was locked down. Jake didn't waste a second. He moved straight to the children, dropping to his knees so he wouldn't scare them. Hey, he said gently. My name's Jake. These police officers are here to help you. You're safe now. You're going home. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, looked up at him with wide eyes. Are you one of the bad guys? The question hit Jake harder than any punch he'd ever taken. No, kid, he said quietly, not today. After that, the warehouse turned into organized chaos. EMTs checked every child carefully. Child services workers made urgent calls, trying to find families. Detective Martinez controlled it all with calm precision, like someone who had trained her whole life for this moment. But Jake couldn't leave yet. He leaned against the warehouse wall, watching each child get escorted to safety. And for the first time in decades, he felt something new. Purpose. Something bigger than survival, bigger than the next ride or the next job. Jake. Detective Martinez walked over, her face hard to read. We need to talk. Here it comes, Jake thought. The arrest, the charges, interfering with a police operation, going undercover without permission. Plenty of things she could pin on him. I spent 15 years believing the Devil's Brotherhood was just another criminal organization I needed to shut down, Martinez said. You've given me drug charges, weapons violations, assaults. She paused. But today, you helped me destroy the largest child trafficking ring in 3 states. 12 kids are going home because you cared when it mattered most. She held out her hand. Thank you. Jake shook it, feeling like he'd stepped into a strange alternate world where cops thanked bikers. Don't make me regret this, Reaper, Martinez said. I've got a lot of explaining to do about how civilian motorcyclists ended up at a tactical raid. Our mouths are shut, Detective, Jake replied. We were never here. She gave a small smile. Exactly. Then she lowered her voice. Off the record, If you ever run into something like this again, you call me first. We do it the right way. And if the system's too slow, you still call me. I'll make it move faster." As she walked away, Bulldog stepped beside Jake. The massive man seemed smaller somehow after everything they'd seen. "Never thought I'd see the day we worked with cops." "Me neither," Jake said, "but those kids needed help, and we were there." Bulldog let out a slow breath. "So what now, Reaper? We just go back to business like nothing happened?" Jake didn't answer right away. He watched a father drop to his knees as his daughter was placed back into his arms. The man held her like the world might try to steal her again. The mother couldn't even stand. She just cried, hands shaking. "No," Jake said quietly. "There's no normal after this, and I don't think we should pretend there is." That night, the Devil's Brotherhood clubhouse was packed. Every patched member in the area showed up. Prospects lined the walls, silent, watching and learning what it really meant to belong. Jake stood at the front, facing men he'd ridden with for years. Men he trusted with his life. "Today, we crossed a line," he said. "But not the kind we usually cross. We pulled 12 kids out of a trafficking operation. Not for money, not for power, not for reputation. We did it because it was right." Some nodded. Others stayed stiff, unsure. "I know who we are," Jake continued. "We're not heroes. We've broken laws, hurt people, done things we can't undo. But there are lines that matter." Today reminded me where those lines are. He held up his phone. Messages flashed across the screen. Kids reduced to numbers. Prices. This is evil, real evil. And if we ignore it, what separates us from them? Just the patches on our backs. Hammer spoke up. "You saying we turn into vigilantes?" "No," Jake said. "I'm saying we use what we already have, chapters everywhere, eyes on every street. Connections the cops don't. From now on, anyone trafficking kids in our territory is declaring war on the Brotherhood." Silence filled the room. "You think this makes us weak?" Jake asked. Today, cops shook our hands. Families thanked us. A detective who's chased us for years asked for our help. That's not weakness. That's power. Bulldog stood. "My sister's kid vanished 6 years ago. Never found her. If this saves even one family from that hell, I'm in." Hands slowly rose around the room. Not all of them, but most. The next morning, Jake got a call from an unknown number. "My name is Rebecca Torres," a woman said, her voice shaking. "Detective Martinez gave me your number. My son Tyler's been missing for 3 days. Police say there's no evidence, but I know something's wrong." Jake thought about Lily Chen, about waiting, about fear. "Tell me everything," he said. Tyler was found within 48 hours, lured online, tracked to an hotel, returned home before anything could happen. That case led to another, then another. 6 months later, Jake sat in a community center the Brotherhood had helped fix up. Kids laughed. After-school programs filled rooms that were once empty. Lily Chen ran up and hugged him. Every time she did, something in his chest cracked open a little more. The trafficking ring was gone. 17 arrests, dozens of children home. But Jake still thought about that gas station, about a scared little girl whispering, "Please act like you're my dad." He'd spent his life being the man parents warned their kids about, but Lily saw a protector. The Brotherhood still rode, still lived in the gray, still carried their reputation. But now they had a code. Children were untouchable. Jake kept a board in the clubhouse, photos of every child they'd helped. At the center was Lily, smiling, holding his hand. Mrs. Chen once told him, "You didn't just save my daughter. You showed me help can come from anywhere." Jake never liked praise. "I just didn't walk away," he said. "That's all." His phone rang again. "My daughter Emma disappeared today. They say I need to wait 24 hours. I can't." Jake grabbed his keys. "I'm on my way." Bulldog and 3 others pulled up beside him. Engines roared to life. Once that sound meant danger, now it meant hope. Jake thought about Lily's question. "Are you one of the bad guys?" The answer wasn't simple. Maybe redemption isn't about erasing the past. Maybe it's about choosing better now. Because sometimes the scariest men become the strongest protectors. And sometimes being someone's dad, even for a few minutes, changes everything. That was a code even outlaws could live by.